If you will, please welcome the present leader of Sacred Heart, Father Larry Delaney.
Be one person up here where you don't see the microphone shadow in my face. I did not have an opportunity to grow up in a community that could have a Catholic high school. I grew up in Twin Valley, Minnesota, and as I once noted when I was in the vocation office, I said that every Catholic boy and girl in my graduating class became either a priest or a religious citizen. Absolutely true. Twin Valley, Norwegian Lutheran community. And I actually remember kind of having some dreams about wanting to go to Catholic school. Monoman was just 15 miles away. I never brought it up to parents. Vicariously, the only connection I had to Catholic school was here at Sacred Heart. A great aunt of mine, Sister Mary Ann Aarons, taught here, and an aunt of mine, Sister Rachel Lights, also taught here at Sacred Heart. Catholic education is a great gift, not something to be taken for granted. So in 1996, when Bishop Balke asked if I would be interested in coming to Sacred Heart as Father Tim's associate and to teach religion, I jumped at the opportunity. 16 years later, it has been the greatest blessing in my life. Then in 2001, to be honored to be named pastor following in the footsteps of Father Jerry and Monsignor Tim, standing, as we heard last night, on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. The second Tuesday after my first year, second Tuesday after the beginning of the school year, my first year as pastor, we will always remember that day. It was the day after daily Mass. Heard someone say, one of the Twin Towers is on fire. So we casually turned on the news, and we all know what we witnessed that day, what unfolded that day, that week, that month, the months to follow. We gathered our students for prayer early that day, praying for those who had died, praying for the unknown that was going to lie ahead for us. In some ways, it was never more evident to me, anyway, of the value of Catholic education at that point. Being able to gather your family together in prayer, being able to be preparing our children for the mission that we know lies ahead for them. Not just on that day of praying, but on the mission that lies ahead for them of evangelizing, of bringing Jesus Christ to the people of the world. And never more has that been needed. We know than in this last decade. We know the world needs Jesus Christ. And we seek to prepare our students for that mission. Many of the people formed in these walls have been prepared to bring Christ to others and be prepared to also serve their country with their very lives. As Denny had our armed forces, those who have served in the armed forces, stand earlier. Since 9/11, dozens of graduates of this school have been serving in the armed forces and deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq, and doing it without question. We give thanks for their service. The 2000s have been a transition time for our community. One of the things that has transitioned is that the demographics of our community We have many more families that are a part of Sacred Heart School that the Red River is no longer a border for us. Many families in Grand Forks that make this their home for their Catholic education. And we thank them for choosing us and being dedicated to this Catholic school, an integral part of our community. We also saw a transition in the mid-2000s of what we thought at the time was that last transition from teachers that were solely religious sisters teaching to totally lay people teaching. Sister Basil Ledoux was our last sister from Mount St. Benedict that we thought was going to be teaching. As we found out later, Sister Marguerite taught the last couple of years in religion class. But at the time, Sister Basil, she was in her 80s. She was down to teaching one class. Anyone want to guess what class that was? You think you know? Calculus. Now that takes a lot of experience of teaching. Not a simple class. She loved it dearly. And she passed on the baton to another teacher as her health failed. And all the students came and celebrated the gift of the resurrection of life at her funeral that spring of 2003, was it 2004. This decade, we face many challenges, just like other decades have faced challenges. And it is people, the parishioners, alumni, all other benefactors who have been dedicated to continuing this mission of forming another generation of young Catholics who will proclaim the gospel. This is only possible through the staff and teachers that we had stand earlier. In particular, though, I'd like to note that for about 1/3 of our century of history, we've had 2 principals that have served that entire time. Putting that in perspective, that's almost as long as Monsignor Clingham was here. A long time. And so I'd like to take a time to thank those 2 principals. Mr. David Andrews, is he in the building? And in 1977, Mr. Philip Meyer was hired to teach and coach. In 1986, became the first Lake High School principal. 6 weeks ago, he announced that he is retiring after this coming school year. And throughout the year, this coming year, we will have opportunities to honor his service. Tonight, though, we invite him forward for a few brief words.